In this Konect tutorial, we'll learn how to capture as-built data in the forms for fibre, so joints or splices, sites and cables. So we need to make sure that we're in edit form mode, and now we're going to select a splice to begin with. Now the first thing we'll do is change that status to as-built. Now we may need to change the type of the splice. Often we will leave it as it is. So now we'll enter the name of the cable in the name field. And in the case of an AJL, BJL, simply enter both splice names separated by a space. So now we want to add our as-built photos. So we can again take a photo while we're there at the splice. So we'd select camera and take the photo. In this case, we're selecting a photo from our gallery. And for guidance on the photo requirements for splices, please refer to the Optus documentation. We also need to add a photo of the cable readings. And here's a good example of a clear photo which shows all of our cable details for both cables. So once we've added all of our required photos, we can hit save, and we will notice that our splice now turns to green to indicate that it's in as-built status. So now we're going to look at a site. So we select our site on the map. Now we get into our form for the site. We can see some of the site details there. We may not need to change any of these, but we need to change our term panel status to as-built, and then we may need to change some of our rack or termination details, such as the rack type, rack class, chassis type. It may be whether it's an FTP or an LGX. We also may need to change some of the location details. Does it have the correct floor number, aisle number, rack number and chassis position? If it does, we can leave these as they are. If not, we may need to change some of these details. So if we scroll down now, we can see we've got some as-built photos, which we can add a photo of the termination panel here. And also, very importantly, we need to add a cable reading photo. So once again, this needs to show clearly our tag marked with the cable and its details. Once this is complete, we can confirm by saving changes. And once again, our site now has turned to green to indicate that it is in as-built status. And finally, we're going to update a cable. Now, before we update our form for the cable, it's important to note that you will need both the start and end cable readings before you can update the cable form. So it's best to update your cable details at the B end of the cable when you have already captured the photos of tags for either end of the cable. If you're missing one or both of the cable readings, then you will not be able to exit the form or save the form. So the first thing we'll do is change the status to as-built. We can add our cable name in the name field, and we can also change the type if it is a different cable type to what was proposed. So now we have our cable details of the cable that was hauled, which includes our serial number, our cable manufacturer, date of manufacturer, and our readings, our start and end readings. And you can see that all of these fields are mandatory. So as we mentioned earlier, you will need both start and end readings before you start the cable. So here we'll select our date of manufacturer, and then we can enter our start and end readings. So there is no need to capture any photos on the cable. as we have already captured a photo of the cable tag with its details at the joints on either end of the cable. So then we can save our form, and then our cable will turn green. So this concludes our tutorial on how to capture as-built details in Konect on the form for Fibre.